just go over the general overview of chapter 4 before we go through those questions to make sure that you got everything you needed. So, chapter 4 is, to me, a turning point in the novel where it starts to get even better. When it begins, we are back at Gatsby's mansion at the end of another party. Guests are still swirling rumors around about Gatsby, that he killed a man, that he's the second cousin of the devil, all this fun stuff. Now, we're also given a list of all of the possible suspected or confirmed guests that Gatsby may have at the party. And as you read this list, you may think, what is the point of this list? Because it was kind of boring, and you're thinking, who are we talking about? Well, let me give you, these are actual people, a lot of them were. Let me give you a list of what these people have been accused of or actually confirmed to have done, okay? Drowned, went to jail, ran over somebody's right hand due to drunk driving, tobacco importer, manipulated the stock market, strangled his wife, gambler, killed himself by jumping in front of a subway in Times Square, divorced, shot off his nose in the war. Okay, so these are scandalous people, right? So this adds to the mystery of Gatsby. We're thinking, why is he connected to all of these people? Is there something nefarious going on in Gatsby's life? So this serves to add just like that sense of mystery to Gatsby, right? We're not really sure who he is, what his past is like, or anything like that. Okay, all right. Then we are introduced to his car. Does anybody remember what his car looks like? Okay. Yep. Yes. So it is a symbol of his wealth. It is something to keep in mind. And I'm telling you this kind of as foreshadowing. All right. Keep in mind that his car will pop up again. Now, that was kind of random. I wish I had saved that to the end. Let's go to the words of Gatsby himself. Okay. So we know a bunch of rumors about Gatsby. But then we're starting to learn things that from himself, okay, from Gatsby's own mouth, that he says are true. So what I want to do is and I think this is probably important for you to take notes on. Let's see what some of the rumors are about Gatsby and if any of those hold true. All right. So we know from the party, people say he's killed a man. I'm going to say that. Killed a man, went to Oxford. What is Oxford? College. Yes. Where is Oxford? You may know? UK. Yeah, the UK. Good. Bootlegger. What does a bootlegger mean?
It's a fake product. Like.
Well, now we use it in that term. Then it was someone who made alcohol illegally, right? Remember, we're during the time of Prohibition, so alcohol sales are illegal. Related to Kaiser Wilhelm. Second cousin to the devil. German spy. American spy and war hero. Okay. Now, I'm going to read Gatsby's own words from chapter 4. I want you to pick up on if he confirms any of these, all right? Well, I'm going to tell you something about my life, he interrupted. I don't want you to get a wrong idea of me from all those stories you hear. I'll tell you God's truth. His right hand suddenly ordered divine retribution to stand by. I'm the son of some wealthy people in the Midwest, all dead now. Okay. I'm going to write this on the right. So we have truth now. According to Gatsby, God's honest truth, he says. Parents dead in Midwest. And they were rich, right? Yeah. Rich. Okay. Great. I was brought up in America but educated at Oxford because all my ancestors have been educated there for many years. It's a family tradition. Okay, so he says he was at Oxford. Write that there. Right, so we have confirmed, according to Gatsby, truth of that. All my family died, and I came into a good deal of money. After that, I lived like a young Rajah in all the capitals of Europe: Paris, Venice, Rome, collecting jewels, chiefly rubies, hunting big game, painting a little, and trying to forget something very sad that happened to me a long time ago. I'm going to write that up here too. Trying to forget something sad. Okay. Keep in mind, he is talking to Nick here, our narrator. And Nick gives us a little insight into what he thinks about Gatsby right this second. He said, with an effort, I managed to restrain my incredulous laughter. The very phrases were worn so threadbare that they evoked no image except that of a turbaned character leaking sawdust. So Nick is thinking that this is an exaggeration or some character that Gatsby's trying to portray. Nick is not 100% convinced that Gatsby's words are true. But Gatsby continues. He said, then came the war, old sport. It was a great relief, and I tried very hard to die, but I seemed to bear an enchanted life. I took 2 machine gun detachments so far forward there was a half-mile gap on either side of us where the infantry couldn't advance. We stayed there 2 days and 2 nights. 130 men with 16 Lewis guns, and when the infantry came up at last, they found the insignia of 3 German divisions among the piles of dead. I was promoted to be major. Okay? And then he reaches into his pocket, and a piece of metal slung on a ribbon fell into my palm. So he has this Medal of Valor for Valor Extraordinaire from Montenegro. Okay? So we even have proof, right? So we've got a Medal of Valor. So it does seem like he was a war hero, and he was not a German spy, according to him, right? So I'm going to put that. That checks, right? That checks. Okay. Let's look at the rumors that we do not think are true. Killed a man. Well, he probably could have killed a man, right, if he was in war. So we can maybe put a question mark next to that one. Bootlegger. He said nothing about that, so we don't know. Nephew to Kaiser Wilhelm. Probably not, since he's fighting on American side. Second cousin to the devil. Well, I mean, can one actually be second cousin to the devil? Okay, and then German spy. Probably not, but you can still be an American war hero and a spy for the other side, couldn't you? So that was possible. All right, so here's some things that we know about Jay Gatsby from his own mouth. Let me just go over them again. He was from the Midwest. His parents were rich, but they're dead. He was educated in Oxford. He fought in the war and even earned a Medal of Valor as a war hero. And very last, but not least, is that he's trying to forget something sad. Have you ever heard it said that when someone lies, there's always a kernel of truth in their lie? You ever heard that? Like, oh, they're lying, but somewhere in the depths of that lie, some tiny part of it is true. That is me giving you some foreshadowing. If you were to pick, let's say that all of these were wrong. I'm not saying that that's the case. Let's say he's lying about all of these, but one. Which one thing do you think might be true? Madison.
Trying to forget something sad.
I think that's a great guess. Trying to forget something sad. So let's keep that in mind as we continue on through the rest of the book. So I'm going to skip a lot of this. They are going. They go to lunch. At the end, though, is where you really. Oh no, we're not to the end. I think I have my notes. out of order, which is why I'm like, this does not make any sense for this chapter. Okay, we learn a little more about Tom and Daisy. My copy. Can I borrow somebody's copy of the book? Here, can I use yours? My copy of the book is actually on my phone. So I'm going to make sure I'm not missing anything. That's why, friends who are in business communication, you need to number your pages, because if they're out of order, you have no idea what's going on. Okay. All right. So Major Gatsby. So he goes to meet Gatsby for lunch, and we meet Mr. Wolfsheim. And does anybody remember there's something very interesting about his cufflinks? Anybody remember what that was?
Weren't they kind of like human teeth?
They were so made of human teeth. What does that tell you about Mr. Wolfsheim or Wolfsheim?
It's a little bit kooky.
Maybe. Or maybe he likes to kill people and get their teeth. Okay, we know that Nick continues his little relationship with Jordan Baker, which is weird. We know he's not that into her, but she's convenient. She's there. He's there. She gets together with Daisy, or they get together with Daisy. Not yet. Hold on. Pause. We are hearing a story from Jordan. Let's go to that story that we hear from Jordan. She was a bridesmaid for Daisy, right? And she tells this story of how she enters and she sees Daisy lying on her bed as drunk as a monkey, she says. And keep in mind, so Daisy's about to get married, but for some reason, something's going on here. She's as drunk as a monkey. She began to cry, and she cried. And we locked the door and got her into a cold bath, but she wouldn't let go of the letter. We took it into the tub. She took it in the tub with her and squeezed it up into a wet ball. Only let me leave it in the soap dish when she saw it was coming to pieces like snow. She didn't say another word. Okay, so we have this scene of something's going on right before Daisy's wedding. Okay, she receives a letter from someone. It causes her to be extremely upset, but she does go through with the marriage. Now, then we kind of fast forward. This is all some backstory. We fast forward to a time when they are in Santa Barbara, and Tom gets into a car wreck. And it gets in the newspapers. And what's notable about that is that there was another girl in the car with him, right? So it seems like even from the beginning of their marriage, Tom was cheating on Daisy. And we know Tom is a big piling trash ball. We hate Tom. And we continue to see reasons to hate Tom. Now, Jordan is still telling the story of how they reconnected, and she was talking to Daisy, and she says she heard the name Gatsby. It was when I asked you, do you remember, if you knew Gatsby and West Egg, after you had gone home, and Daisy came into my room, and this is Jordan talking, and woke me up and said, what Gatsby? And when I described him, I was half asleep. She said in the strangest voice that it must be the same man she used to know. And it wasn't until then that I connected this Gatsby with the officer in her white car that I saw before the wedding. Okay? So we're starting to put puzzle pieces together, right? Daisy and Gatsby used to be an item. And Gatsby must have had something to do with this letter that caused Daisy to be so distraught right before her wedding. So when Jordan had finished telling this, we left the plaza. So now Nick knows this. And Nick says, it was a strange coincidence. Then Jordan says, it's not a coincidence at all. Why is it not a coincidence that they live near each other now? Because Gatsby bought that home just so he could be across the bay from Daisy. What do you think about that? What are your initial reactions to hearing that this man, who apparently had some sort of relationship with this girl who he sent a letter to right before she was married, all we know that it devastated her, but she got married to this pile of trash, and now he has decided to buy a house just to be near her.
I'm not gonna lie, my first thought that it was kind of stalker-y.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Do you think it's stalkerish or sweet-ish, or both?
Jealous and sweet.
Jealousy, sweet, okay.
Keep an eye on.
Keep an eye. Okay. All right. These are all good thoughts. And then comes like a mic drop that Jordan says he wants to know if you, Nick, will set up a time that you can invite him and Daisy over to your house. Okay. So here Nick is all along so far in the novel. We have seen Nick kind of as a bystander, just doing whatever anybody else asks of him to do. Kind of as a mode just to keep the plot going. Now, remember, Daisy is Nick's cousin, but Nick also knows that Tom is horrible and that Tom is cheating on Daisy. If you were in Nick's situation, what would you do? Would you say, sure, I'll arrange a meeting between Gatsby and Daisy, or would you stay out of it? Honestly, what would you do? Especially if you knew that she was married to seeming pile of trash Tom.
I'd do it.
I mean, can't hurt anything, right? What do you think's going to happen? Let's just do some foreshadowing.
Tom's gonna get angry. Like Tom's gonna kill
Go
Gatsby.
off the deep end.
Okay. Those are some good guesses. Good guesses. Good guesses. We will see. We will see. Let me quickly. Oh, we've got a lot of stuff to do. So let me not say I'm going to quickly do that. We are going to have a test on Thursday. And it's going to be over chapters 1 through 4. So anything that we've gone over so far, I think I've put most of the questions back in there that have been graded. Today's questions, let's just go over the answers very, very quickly so that you can have, in case you didn't write them down correctly, you will know what the answers are, since obviously we won't have that back to you for the test. We may have gone over a lot of these. We did that. We did that. We did that. What two things does Gatsby always carry?
His medal from one place and a picture from when he was at Oxford.
Perfect. Okay. We talked about Mr. Wolfsheim with the cufflinks. Tom, when he was in California, he got into a car wreck, had the girl with him who was a maid who was having an affair then. Okay, we actually have gone through all of this, so that's great. One other thing that I want us to do as a way of review, and this will probably be on the test as well, is I want us to look at some of the similarities and differences between the parties that we have seen so far. Okay? So there have been two major parties. The first party was the party at Tom and Myrtle's apartment. And you'll want to take notes on this. Okay, I'm going to call this party 1. Party number 1, Tom and Myrtle. And then the second one is the party at Gatsby's, party number 2 at Gatsby. Okay. Now, when you're talking about a party and what makes a party amazing, or what sets the party's tone, or just basic any information about the party, here are some of the things that I think of. The host, so who are the hosts or the hosts? The guests, the place, the time, activities, and the mood. Okay? So, before we even evaluate those differences between the two parties, if I were just to say to you, okay, what do you think the main difference is between Gatsby's party and Myrtle and Tom's party? I would think, before analyzing it, I would think, well, obviously Gatsby's is better because he's rich, right, and has all of these amazing things. And Tom and Myrtle's is worse because it's in a cramped apartment and Tom is a horrible person. Okay? That's what I initially would think. But I want you to see here what Fitzgerald does. Okay, so we know the hosts already, Tom and Myrtle, T&M, and the Gatsby. And who are the guests at Tom and Myrtle's party? Were they invited? Where did they come from? Does anybody remember? Neighbors, yeah. Neighbors. Some were invited, but a lot wandered in. Wandered. What about for Gatsby's parties? Did his neighbor Nick attend? Yes. Did most people just wander in? Yes. Great. Okay. What about the place? It's in New York, right? Tom and Myrtle's. It's a small apartment. What is the purpose of their apartment? Like, why does Tom have the secret apartment? It's so that who won't find out? Even though Daisy already knows. Okay. So it's a place, secret love apartment. I'll call it that. Okay. Secret love apartment. What about Gatsby's house? Why did he buy that house? Because of his secret love for Daisy, right? Anybody seeing a theme here? Are we seeing a lot of parallels between these parties, even though you might initially not think that that's true? Yes? Yes? Oh, good. I'm glad you're seeing it, too. I'm going to skip time. I don't think that one really matters. Let's talk about activities. Okay. This one could perhaps, well, okay. What happens at Gatsby's parties? Okay. Drinking, dancing. Do you remember when Nick left, what the scene was outside of Gatsby's house, what had happened? Yeah. Owl Eyes crashed. Owl Eyes crashed. Owl crashed. Denies reality, basically. Okay. What activities took place at Tom and Myrtle's party? Okay, before that, I'm going to put drinking, broken nose. Do you think anybody is denying reality in Tom and Myrtle's apartment? I would say that's a big fat yes. Okay. Now, here is the big difference, though. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. You might not think there's a difference. So as we look through this party chart, and initially I said, Gatsby's party was probably amazing because he's rich. Tom and Myrtle's party is probably trashy because they're having this affair. It's a small party. But then as we go through each one of these, we see that they are almost identical if we actually break it down, right? The guests were neighbors, but there were also people who wandered in. Their places, they both took place in either an apartment or a house that was purchased solely for the reason of hiding or hiding a love for somebody else. Activities were very similar: drinking, destruction, denying reality. Now, let's go to mood. If you were to describe the mood of Tom and Myrtle's party or the atmosphere, what are some adjectives that you would use to describe it? I would use the word chaotic. What other word would you use? Would you use fun? Does anybody think that it would be fun? No, I don't either. Tense, maybe, is what I would use. Tense. I feel like there's a lot of tension. What else? Okay, well then let's go to Gatsby's party. What is the mood of Gatsby's party? And you know what we haven't done? I want to, and I'll even turn the phone. I want you to see how the newest Gatsby movie portrays the entry of Gatsby himself into his own party. And I think you might see what the mood of the party is. So let's watch that. Not the taste of the biscuit. Okay, Gatsby enters party movie scene.
Don't believe the GameStop story is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
You see, the rest of New York simply came
That's Tom McGuire.
uninvited.
Or Tobey Maguire.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna skip.
Automobiles and all weekend, every weekend, ended up at Gatsby's.
I'm gonna skip to here.
I'm stealing your away, Caraway.
A jazz history of the world and accompanying fireworks! Come on, Nick.
Look around you. Rich girls don't marry poor boys.
Oh, let's pause on that line for a second. Where's that come from? Anybody remember?
He was the guy who wrote the book was
Yeah.
trying to marry a girl, but her dad didn't let him because he was poor and she was rich.
Yeah, her dad actually told Fitzgerald that, didn't he? Okay.
She's mine.
Your face is familiar. Weren't you in the 3rd Division during the war? Oh, yes, the 9th Battalion. I was in the 7th. Excuse me. You look familiar. Having the time old sport. Oh, the whole thing's incredible. I live just next door. He sent me an actual invitation. Seems I'm the only one. I still haven't met Mr. Gatsby. No one's met him. They say he's 3rd cousin to the Kaiser and 2nd cousin to the devil. I'm afraid I haven't been a very good host, old sport.
You see, I'm Gatsby.
Oh no, and he's so cute.
Looks like Leonardo DiCaprio.
His smile was one of those rare smiles that you may come across 4 or 5 times in life. It seemed to understand you and believe in you just as you would like to be understood and believed in.
Okay, so just based on that portrayal, what do you think that the mood of Gatsby's party was? Oh, okay.
Equally chaotic, possibly.
Oh, okay. I'll accept chaotic as well.
I mean, did you not see the way they were driving?
Extreme. Extravagant. What?
That's probably what I look like driving.
Which one of these two, though, is more positive? Which one would you say, okay, yeah, this is fun, and which one would you say, no, this is horrible, right? Gatsby's party, right, is supposed to be the fun, exciting one. Tom and Myrtle's is not. This is a commentary. The whole book, actually, is a commentary on the wealthy being able to get away with a lot. And we're going to see that more throughout the book. But Fitzgerald also uses this instant to show us how 2 separate things can have the exact same breakdown. But in the end, money can make everything all right and make it seem better than it actually is. Money, in the end, can cover up all this yucky stuff that's going beneath the surface at Gatsby's party. Whereas, sure, Tom has money, but I mean, they're in this dinky apartment in New York, and Myrtle definitely doesn't have money, and she represents the poor, right? She comes from the Valley of the Ashes. And so because the money isn't present there, all of this bad stuff is now up at the surface, and you can't hide it without the money. Okay, so that is what's very important to take away from this party chart, and parts of this will probably be on your test, is that if you break down both of these parties, they are at their core the same. The only difference is the money, which then can hide the yucky stuff beneath the surface. Okay, so that is a big theme throughout the rest of this book that I want you to make sure that you know. So for the rest of the test, be sure to know characters, right? So we have Jordan Baker, who's that dishonest golf player, right? We have Nick, who's our narrator. Daisy and Tom are married. Daisy is Nick's cousin. Daisy, what do y'all think of Daisy, by the way? Okay. We're going to learn a little bit more about Daisy later on. No, just basic plot lines. I don't ever like asking super specific things unless I've talked about them. So, for example, you do need to know what Wolfsheim's cufflinks are made out of. Okay? Human molars, human teeth. Okay. We do have a final project that I'm gonna wait till Thursday to give you that, because I don't expect you to work on that tomorrow. I want you to study tomorrow, and you also have a small writing assignment. But if I didn't copy it, then you don't have to have it. But I bet I did copy it. Know how to make inferences. So I didn't copy it, so you all don't have to do that. Does everybody hear me? You do not have to do a writing assignment for tomorrow. We talked about how setting is important. We've also talked about denotation and connotation. So those denotation is a dictionary definition, right, of a word, and connotation is whether it's positive, negative, or neutral. Let me see if there's anything else. You need to know a little bit about Fitzgerald's background. So from the video, right? Who was his wife? Anybody remember what Fitzgerald's wife's name was? Zelda. And where did she die?
On a bus in a fire?
On a bus. In a psych ward in a fire. Yeah. Fitzgerald didn't have money, right, at first. He did become successful and then led a very extravagant lifestyle, to the point of detriment almost. He had an affair while his wife was still living and in the psych ward, right? He had a long-term affair with someone, and he eventually died, I believe, of a heart attack, if I'm not mistaken. He also, let's see, he coined a very important phrase. Does anybody, for the 1920s, anybody remember what that phrase was? The blank age. The jazz age. Okay, so know that. Anybody else have any questions about chapters 1 through 4? Anything else? Okay, I'm going to end.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. It feels very elementary school to me that Gatsby asked Jordan to ask Nick to ask Daisy so that they could hang out.
We're going to watch the scene of, I'll give you a spoiler. They do hang out, and that will come to fruition even more. You'll be like, is he, hi, you're on Facebook, say hi. I mean, on YouTube. You're going to be like, is he 8-year-old? Is he an 8-year-old? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to end this and send this to Caroline. It says waiting for a guest. Okay. We don't want a guest.